Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Furs, Feathers and Fangs Creature Feature, a weekly series in which I talk about some of the amazing animals we get to share this planet with. My name is Zach, and this week we're going to talk about something a little bit different. We're going to talk about animal gladiators. With the film Ben-Hur being released this past Friday, it gave me the idea to talk about a little slice of human-animal history that's sometimes overlooked, and that is the use of animals in gladiatorial combat. Gladiatorial combat in ancient Rome was the pro sporting event. It was going to the cinema. It was the thing to do in Roman entertainment. Watching man go against man and fight to the death. And usually it involved animals on some level. Animals from all over the Roman Empire were captured and brought to take part in the spectacle that was gladiatorial combat. Lions, tigers, bears. Thank you, Quimby. Should have seen that coming. But hey, I'm loving the headwear that you've chosen for today's video. Most appropriate indeed, my friend. As well as lions, tigers, and bears, animals such as leopards, giraffes, elephants, rhinoceroses, even crocodiles were captured and made to take part in gladiatorial combat. One of the ways that animals were used was taking part in recreated hunts, and these were used to symbolize Rome's dominance over the rest of the world. For example, zebras might be released into the arena, and Roman hunters would take them down with spears and arrows, and this might symbolize Rome's conquering of North Africa. Similarly, animals from Asia, such as the Indian rhinoceros, might be brought in and hunted down to symbolize Rome conquering parts of Asia. Under the floorboards of the Roman Colosseum, there was a labyrinthian network of tunnels and passageways and storage cages in which animals from wolves to lions, even elephants, were stored underground, under the very Colosseum. The animals were kept in cramped cages that were often devoid of light. They would be deprived food and water for days leading up to a match. And this would make particularly the predators more vicious, and they would make for a better show for the crowd to see. Gladiators that fought animals specifically in the Roman Colosseum were known as vestari, and like other types of gladiators, they had their own schools and own training systems in which they would learn how to combat the various animals, be it predator, prey, or something massive like a rhino or an elephant. Death in the Roman Colosseum was on a massive scale, not only for the humans, but for animals as well. Some estimates point that during popular games, there were as many as 2,000 individual animals slaughtered in a single day. One of the lasting legacies of animal combat in gladiatorial arenas was the extinction of certain species of animals. Most famously is the Atlas bear, the only bear species native to Africa in the modern age. They were hunted to such an extent that their population was never able to rebound. And even though they weren't declared extinct until 1870, it's clear that because of their use in gladiatorial combat, the Atlas bear was doomed. Another popular form of animal entertainment in ancient Rome was the chariot race. Now, like modern racehorses, chariot horses were bred for no other purpose. They didn't pull plows, they didn't go to war, they were athletes, pure and pure. Chariot racing, although it did appear in the Roman Colosseum, was most famously conducted at the Circus Maximus, a large racetrack that was a little ways away from the Roman Colosseum, but it was just as popular for entertaining the crowds and was very popular among Roman emperors. Although death wasn't the goal in chariot racing, it was dangerous, just like NASCAR racing today, with the horses and the chariots and the riders going at such high speeds. Crashes and tips and spinouts were very common. But interestingly enough, efforts would be made to save the horses before they would be made to save the riders. Riders were cheap, horses were expensive. Sentiment towards use of animals in entertainment, just like it is today, did start to shift in ancient Rome. Towards the fall of the empire, there was a growing concern for the welfare of the animals, not only for the ones that were in the Colosseum fighting, but for chariot horses as well. The popular conception was that was growing was that these animals deserved better than what they were being given. And it's very interesting. We think of conservation as a modern way of thinking, but even back then, in the 5th and 6th century AD, people started to care about the welfare of animals. And it all started because people started being sick of what they saw going on in the Roman Colosseum. One of the so-called poster childs of this Reformation in Rome was the elephant. Elephants became popular to see in the Roman Colosseum because they were so intelligent they could be trained to do tricks instead of just being there purely in a combatant role. And towards the later part of gladiatorial combat, crowds would often boo if the elephant was put to death, preferring to see the majestic creature live. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Creature Feature. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comment section below. On behalf of myself, on behalf of Quimby here, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this little talk about gladiatorial animals. If you like Furs, Feathers, and Fangs, go ahead and subscribe by clicking on Quimby. Go ahead, he doesn't mind. And as always, have a good day.